Hello, YouTube. We are back for another episode in relation to the Brave and the Bold. So right here is a big pile of tape. It's a lot of tape, guys. This tape came off of the cover of the Brave and the Bold 28. And just so everyone knows, the tape was holding on certain pieces. Like this is a piece of Wonder Woman's leg. This is a piece of her torso. This is a piece of Aquaman's foot. So there was a lot of pieces being held on by tape. Now, this is the cover. And I was able to take off, I would say, about 80%. No, actually, let's increase that. I was able to take off probably about 90% of the tape. Some of the tape, as here by Aquaman, was so entwined and basically became a part of the paper itself. So I did my best. Up here, the tape was really infused with the fiber of the paper. And I said to myself, self, what am I doing here? The goal is to keep this book a universal grade. We all know I like to conserve books, that's fine. But sometimes in life and with comic conservation, there is a decision that must be made. And the decision I made is I am going to stop the tape removal, because if I continue, more pieces of the cover are going to be removed. What I want to try to do now is I want to try to do aesthetic revitalization. What does that mean? I want to get the book ready for phase 2, which is going to include trying to make what is there look as best as possible, because I'm going to grade this bad boy and send it in. I know I'm going to get my 0.5, but guess what? It's a 0.5 of a key book, and if I always want to, I can trade up or not. And I'll also have the other Brave and the Bold that I am working on, and I am working on it. It's still a work in progress. I'm doing a lot of the work off camera, and you'll see in the future how it turns out. That's going to be a conserved grade. So what I want to do now is I want to try to flatten out the back cover. We're going to work on the back cover first, then we'll go to the front cover. And what do I mean flatten out? Well, we have a lot of curling here, as you can see. And that curling was the back cover or the spine of the book entwined into the tape. So the goal is I want to try to make it where we can flatten it out a little bit so I can do dry cleaning, maybe a little tiny wet cleaning before we send it in. So what I have here is a jar. I'm going to put it on my grate with good old Poland Spring water. We're going to just put a few drops, boop, boop, boop. Hopefully it's water. Let me smell it, see if there's any chemicals in there, which I know you shouldn't do. You shouldn't be smelling it. It could be noxious chemicals and knock me out right here in the Jerry the Jitterbug studios. So we put water in there. Everyone may be asking, wow, that's amazing. What are you going to do with that water? Well, I'll show you. Here is one of my glass pieces. We're going to put this to the side. And then what do I have here? I have a brush. The brush had something on it. Could have been methyl cellulose. I don't know what's on it, but you know what? Let's put it in the water. Let's see how it loosens up, if anything. Yup, and I feel it. That's methyl cellulose. That's hardened into the water or hardened into the brush, which is fine. Let's clean it in this water. And people may be saying, well, now you're putting methyl cellulose in. Isn't that conservation? And the answer is yes. So I'm going to dump it out. I clean the brush. We're going to start with fresh water because CGC may be watching. I know they're not watching this. I think they did in the past. You have to remember, there weren't a lot of channels when I started doing this that did a lot of this work. Now there's a bunch of them. So I think there was some suspicion, or there was some interest in what I did. I still have that belief. But you know what? If people don't have that belief, that's okay. No big deal. Okay, so what are we going to do? I'm just dampening. I'm putting some water on this curled area here. And we're going to see if we can loosen it up just by putting a little H2O. And we'll go down the spine. And we'll start brushing it out nice and slow, a little piece at a time. I'll use my tool here. Let's see if we can flatten it out just like that. Isn't that nice? So we did it. We were able to flatten it out. I'll continue going down. If there's watermarks, you know what? How about we just paint it a little bit? You blend it in. And then when you blend it in, no watermarks hopefully will occur. Let's put a little bit more water, slowly going down the whole spine, just like I'm doing. We'll let it slowly penetrate, just like that. Nice and easy and peasy. And we'll let it sit for a little bit. We'll continue to hopefully let it penetrate. Let the water go into the fibers of this classic book. It's an oldie, and probably not a lot of water has touched it during its life. I know a lot of tape touched it because, believe me, there was a lot of tape on this book. Okay, so we just wet the spine. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to see if we can curl out the pieces that we just wet so I can try to flatten it out as best as possible. Nice and slow, just like this. Use your fingers and try to flatten it out, because what I'm going to do after we flatten out the curls like this is I am going to put my glass on it in addition to putting the parchment paper. So what I am seeing now, and I don't like it, I'm going to do one piece at a time. So what we're going to do is I'm going to loosen this up just like this. And I am going to put the piece of glass on half of the cover. Just like this. Okay. And I'll slide it over. And then hopefully I was able to get it on the pieces that I wanted to flatten out. Just like this. Okay. Then what I'll do is I'll take the glass and I'll put the glass, let's do two pieces. Let's do a piece like this. Okay, and then I'm going to grab another piece. Just like that. And then we're just going to let it sit like that overnight so we can slowly flatten it out. What I'll do is I'll grab another piece of glass, because what we're going to do is we're going to do the whole back of the cover a little bit at a time. You don't want to rush. You want to take your time. And I am Italian. I'm not Russian. I know I told that joke before. My daughter gets upset when I tell that joke. She says it's corny, but that's a joke I like to say, and I like to tell, and I think I'm funny, but not according to my daughter. With that joke, at least. Let's lift this up, and let's see if we can get this guy wet as well. And I want to lay him out. And the purpose is, like I said, is just to slowly get the spine flat, these wrinkled pieces, so we can do a little bit better cleaning of the cover. Now, with the pieces that came off, and I think I mentioned this in the last upload, I can add them back on with tape, but the problem is CGC, once they see pieces added back on, they don't like that. And then you get into the realm of restoration. And we don't want restored grade for this book. I want, as I mentioned, to get a universal. Even though we know that the grade is going to be a universal 0.5. I can't see it being any higher. Maybe I'll get lucky, but I really doubt it. I think a 0.5 is in the cards for this. And generally speaking, a 0.5 is usually when you are having a book that is, in fact, incomplete. But this book is not going to achieve higher than a 0.5, in my opinion. So that's it, guys, for this upload. We're going to do a nice and short one. And why not? I'll put a glass on it. I mean, a weight on it. You know what? I changed my mind. This is very delicate. I think just the weight of the glass will be sufficient. And then we'll let that dry. And then what we'll do is we will see how it looks in the morning. And then I'll do the same thing with the cover. Okay, guys, and then we're going to press the whole thing. We're going to clean it up. We're going to try to make it look as best as possible, at least the cover. And then we're going to switch over to the interior, take off all that tape inside, easy peasy, and then we'll send it off to get our 5.50. So thank you, stay tuned, and I'll see you soon.